What is up, everyone? Steven here, and about a year and a half ago, I got an interesting email from Spotify. They were offering a premium exclusive discount on a pair of wireless headphones. That's kind of interesting, but at the time, I already had a pair of on-ear wireless headphones, and I wasn't super itchy to upgrade, partially because just a few weeks prior, I had gotten a new pair of headphones for private use, and I wasn't really itchy to spend more money. However, as I thought about it and did some research, I realized that my current wireless headphones weren't really satisfying my ears anymore. My taste in audio at the time was rapidly maturing. Unfortunately, there weren't very many reviews of that particular model around, but from reviews of the wired version, I decided that they were close enough for me to take the chance, and I ordered a pair. Was it a worthwhile investment? It'll take a while to explain, so buckle up. The box was a bit smaller than I expected. It's also a bit lighter on padding than I expected, but they arrived without any damage. Included in the box, you have a micro USB charging cable, backup audio cable, documentation, a poster, and of course the actual headphones. Both cables are braided and match my unit's white color. The braiding is a nice touch, although it seems to increase cable noise a bit when compared to other headphone cables that I've used. The audio cable also doesn't have gold-plated plugs, but it includes a one-button remote and microphone, which is handy. The headphones have a single 3.5mm jack on the left earpiece, and I can confirm that, as expected, this means that they will work with any standard auxiliary cable, should the included one fail. Cool. The 3.5mm jack, which they call Sound Plug, also enables a mildly interesting feature of these headphones. If you plug in a pair of wired headphones into this jack while the headphones are on, they will share the Bluetooth audio with those headphones as well. This is actually something that I never used until I was working on this review, but I can verify that it works and doesn't cause an obvious decrease in quality. I obviously didn't find it useful enough to actually use in the real world, but you might find it handy. I don't know. Also, despite not having any way of controlling the output volume on this jack specifically, it does a good job of determining how much power to put through it. I tried a variety of headphones ranging from 23 to 64 ohms of impedance, and none of them sounded excessively loud or quiet. It is worth noting that the jack is only TRS, so if you plug in a pair of headphones with a remote and mic, they won't do anything, which is fine. What did you expect? Aesthetically, I think the headphones look fairly nice. They're on the smaller side, even for on-ear headphones, so they won't stand out too much. It's worth noting that the white color that I got, since black and gray were out of stock at the time, will definitely look worse over time. The cloth headband has gotten yellow, although it is actually washable. I just haven't gotten around to it. And the white coating on the ear cushions has started wearing off. It feels a bit plasticky, but overall, build quality is about average, I'd say. They also fold up quite compactly, although with the headband positioned for my head, they actually won't completely fold, so that's a bit inconvenient. Comfort is not a strong point for these headphones. The ear cushions aren't particularly soft, and they have a very strong contact force. These headphones start to make my ears sore after just 20 minutes of use, and after around 40 minutes of use, they're almost painful to continue wearing. Note, however, that you'll probably find them more comfortable than I did, since my extra large ears basically make any on-ear headphones extra uncomfortable. However, this does lead to one of their greatest strengths. The high contact force means that they're nearly impossible to shake off your head. That, plus the fact that they're wireless, make these quite well suited for personal dance parties, if you're into that sort of thing. Speaking of wireless, how are they in wireless operation? Pairing is pretty simple. You just double tap the power button and you're ready to pair. Once paired and connected, I didn't notice any signs of distortion or a poor signal, except in extremely rare circumstances. These headphones do not have the ability to connect to multiple devices at once, which my previous wireless headphones had. In my case, however, I actually found single device connectivity preferable. I hardly ever used the second source anyway, and the advantage of only connecting to one device is that you can just turn them on, hit the play button, and your music is going. On my old headphones, I had them paired to my iPod Touch and my Moto X, and they would basically always connect to my Moto X second, and then if I hit the play button, it would try to play from my Moto X when I wanted to play from my iPod. With these, I just have them paired with my iPod, so no complications there. However, I have just verified that they work just fine, including the audio controls with my recently acquired OnePlus 3, so they'll probably work with just about any Android or iOS device without any issues. And of course, on my old ones I could have just disabled multipoint and they would have worked just like these, so. Interestingly, the only physical button on the unit is the power button. All audio controls are on a touch-sensitive surface on the right ear cup. They use a number of easy-to-understand gestures: tap to play or pause, horizontal swipes to skip forward or back, vertical swipes to adjust volume, and holding on the top or bottom to rapidly adjust volume. I'm ambivalent towards this control scheme. I didn't find it exceptionally convenient or problematic. The surface isn't too sensitive, so it doesn't detect accidental touches very often. But it's also not particularly intuitive or more convenient than physical buttons. If, however, you feel strongly about how you control your headphones, it's worth keeping in mind. Battery life is pretty solid. I generally use these for about an hour a day and could go at least 2 weeks without charging. However, battery life was hard to gauge accurately because they have no way of reporting how much charge is remaining. Honestly, this is probably the most disappointing thing about these headphones. When you're designing anything that's battery operated, that should be number one on your list of things to do. My old headphones would report an approximate amount of time remaining when you turned them on, and they would also report the battery level to iOS. These headphones do neither of those. The best you get is a warning tone that sounds every couple minutes once you're down to about 10 minutes. How I found out about this was shortly after leaving campus, I got a warning tone, and about 10 minutes later, they were dead, halfway through my walk home. Thanks, Urbanears. Fortunately, knowing myself, I'm sure I had a backup audio cable in my backpack, and was able to keep on listening that way. It's still pretty inconvenient for the warning tone to be 10 minutes out from dead, and even worse that it's not mentioned anywhere in the manual. However, despite me going pretty hard on them for this oversight, it actually wasn't that bad. I just got in the habit of charging them every 2 weeks or so, and I didn't have any major problems. The included charging cable, as mentioned before, is braided. However, it's actually just that, a charging cable. If you try to connect a smartphone to a computer using this cable, you'll find that it won't transfer data. It's kind of an auto mission for a pair of wireless headphones that aren't insanely cheap. It also seems to limit charging to about 500 milliamps, which is the official spec for USB 2.0. Both of these characteristics are things that I've never seen in another micro USB cable. However, before upgrading to the OnePlus 3 a few months ago, it was actually kind of convenient to have that around. Because if I wanted to trickle charge my Moto X overnight, and, thus go easier on the battery, I could just use that cable and force it to charge slowly. With all that said, the battery on the headphones is small enough that they can get a full charge in under 2 hours, and shelf life is pretty impressive. These were just sitting around, presumably with a full charge, for about 4 months. And then I plugged them back in, and they were up to full in 10 minutes. Kind of impressive. I don't know if that's normal, but I'm impressed. And most importantly, sound quality. When I first took them out of the box, they sounded about like my previous daily drivers, the Solar Public Trax Air, but worse in every other way. They're less comfortable. They don't report the battery life, they can only connect to one device at a time, they have worse build quality and subjectively inferior looks. But after spending a bit more time with them, I realized that I preferred the sound signature a bit over the Trax Air, and later on I realized why. They have a bit less low bass, making for a cleaner sound, but most importantly, they have a much stronger mid-range. On the Trax Air, with the V-shaped sound, the highs were kind of left on their own without much support, but on these, there's a really strong mid-range there to support the treble. Compared to all my Sennheiser headphones, they still have noticeably boosted bass and more laid-back treble, but having good mids is kind of underrated. It's still kind of interesting to me that even before I could explain why, I liked them better than the Trax Air. But after more testing, I found that they sounded a lot better, to my ears at least, with the treble booster equalizer applied in iOS settings. Even with that EQ, however, they're still not nearly as crisp and detailed as any of my Sennheiser headphones. Generally pretty solid and certainly good enough for casual listening, but over time I became more dissatisfied with their sound signature, and about a year after buying them, I replaced them with the Sennheiser HD598Cs. Honestly, if they sounded out of the box like they did with the treble booster equalizer, I'd have a much easier time recommending them. But they're so close to such a well-balanced sound, it's tragic that they didn't hit it. And what really pushed me to replace them was actually build quality. Late last fall, I noticed that the ear cushions were coming apart after less than a year of moderate use. I really hope this is an anomaly and that most units will last a lot longer than that, but I have no idea how much longer these are going to last. That, coupled with a dissatisfaction with the sound, drove me to get the HD598Cs, which, by the way, are fantastic headphones, highly recommended, review coming soon-ish. Hopefully. We'll see. And that summarizes these headphones pretty well. They don't do anything tragically wrong, although perhaps discomfort and lack of battery level reporting could be deal breakers. But they also don't do anything spectacularly, and I have a hard time justifying the $99 MSRP. You can, however, find them for around $60 on Amazon, depending on the color. And at that price, I suppose some compromises are more acceptable, but I'm still hesitant to recommend them, especially considering how mediocre they are in other regards. With that said, most people will probably be a lot happier with the sound than I was. I've become quite picky when it comes to audio, but for me to recommend something, they have to meet my standards, and these just don't. With that said, I'll include an Amazon link and an official website link in the description if you want to check them out. And hopefully you found this review interesting and or helpful. If you did, definitely leave me a like. Comment below if you have any thoughts or questions on the subject. Share it with anyone you think would find it useful, and subscribe if you feel like it and want to, catch that HD598CS review whenever I upload it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll figuratively see you in the next one. Why am I doing that? What am I doing with my life?